My name is Outsider2522 and welcome to another Idleon video. So today we're going to do a follow-up to the video I last did, which was in regards to Killroy. It was the enigma, how people solved it. I've looked into some numbers briefly to try and get an idea of how you might want to spread your points going forward. So let's talk about it. Now before I say too much, usual plug, like, share, subscribe, turn on notifications. Do it because I had a mishap. My beard is missing. You can see my chin again for the first time in God knows how long. I look far too young. Do me a favour, like, share and subscribe. Okay, so we're going to run a few numbers here, and this is a very basic simulation. I want to make that clear. You could do stochastic modelling if you wanted to make this more random to account for probability, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep it simple. So, what we're going to look at is how effective the respawn skill is, given the new information that we know, which is every 100 points in it will double the base number of spawns you get. So normally you get 300, at 100 points you would now get 600. What does that mean? Well, you get 300 extra enemies, but remember every enemy you kill has a 60% chance to spawn another enemy. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically look at the number of enemies. I'm going to times it by 60% to show how many of those would spawn a second enemy, basically. So, we start with 300. After the first round, 60% means you're going to have 180 extra enemies. Taking the total enemies up to 480. We then go to the next round, so of that 180, 60% are respawned, and we get 108. That pattern carries on all the way down to about the 11th iteration. Okay, at this point, you're likely to spawn one enemy at a 60% chance. After the 11th iteration, it goes below one enemy, which means you've got a chance of spawning none. So at that point, I stopped calculating. Now, if we were to do it to the 11th iteration and work on that 60% chance, it means that the total number of enemies you would spawn is around about 748. So you're getting another 448 enemies for every base 300 you spawn. This means that 100 points in respawn should equate to roughly an extra 748 enemies. Now, is that better than 100 seconds as the timer? Let's look into it. Okay, so the comparisons to look into is whether we can kill base map spawns in 100 seconds more than the Killroy spawn. So we're looking to see if we can kill base spawns quicker than 748. Okay, now the way I measured this was there's a tone bonus for tremor worms, killing 200 kills as quickly as possible. Now myself, I managed to do it in 20 seconds. I'm sure there are people out there who have done it quicker, but I'm going to use the numbers that I've got for this experiment. So for 20 seconds, it took me 20 seconds to kill 200 worms, which means that I'm killing 10 per second. Obviously with 100 points, which are needed to guarantee an extra Killroy spawn, instead if we put the 100 points into timer, we'd get an extra 100 seconds. 100 times 10 is 1,000 kills. This means that at tremor worms, using a bubo, I would get 251 more kills roughly, or 252, somewhere around about there, than I would if I put the points into respawn. However, there's a lot of caveats here. Tremor worms are probably one of the densest maps available, if not the densest, and I'm using a bubo, which means on a Beastmaster or a DK you would not see numbers as high as this. If we were to move to a different map, you would not see numbers as high as this. What this shows is that on particular maps, timer is going to be better when you're running a particular class. However, as a general, more consistent rule, it looks like respawn is actually the way to go. So how do we maximize this? Okay, so based around the previous numbers that we got in the last video, the Killroy enigma, we know that the last spawn of the Killroy type is around about 4 minutes and 9 seconds. Okay, but we start off with 100 seconds as the base time when you begin Killroy. This means that you really want to be putting roughly about 149, 150 points into your Killroy timer to maximize and make sure that you get all of those Killroy spawns. After that, you're going to want to put as many points as possible into respawn for those consistent gains like we've just talked about. Obviously at 748 kills, that is on all classes, depending on how quick you can kill them, which is just way more consistent than adding extra time at the end with minimised spawn rates. So that's kind of the route I would be taking going forward. As for the rest of the stuff, in terms of talent drops, bonus skulls, dungeon drops, purple drops, put at least one into those. If you want more skulls, for example, you might want to put more into that. Talent drops, dungeon drops, pearl drops, I wouldn't really care too much about them. There's other sources of them that drop them more consistently, better. Talent drops, now we use the alchemy bubbles to increase your talents when we don't need these. Dungeon drops, you're going to get those better by running dungeons. I know it's not the best game mode, but still it's a more efficient way of doing it. Pearl drops, the only ones you care about late games are white pearls. They're really rare in here. You'd be better off using your Killroy skulls and buying them from the Killroy shop. So I think that's kind of where I would be looking at going. The respawn is kind of the most valuable one. As far as I've seen, no one has seen there is a limit to how many of the Killroy spawns you can get. So it means it should scale infinitely, but that might change depending on what people unveil. That's all the information I've got for you. I think that is my game plan going forward. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please feel free to like, share and subscribe. Hit that notification button. Also, come join the Discord. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you're going to change the way that you handle your points at the end of Killroy, whether this new information has changed the way. Let's have a discussion. As always, thank you very much for watching. You've been amazing. Take care.